السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد، يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد, my brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us in the Quran, in these 3 verses that we have recited today, to have the taqwa of Allah, which is the awareness, the consciousness, and the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's punishment. Allah If a person truly has it, then that person is successful. Then that person has done what he is required in his life, inshaAllah ta'ala. Today we will, inshaAllah, be mentioning some lessons to be taken from the life of one of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This companion is one of the 10 who were given the glad tidings of Jannah. And when you say this, this means that the Prophet sallallahu while he was on the minbar sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the day of Friday. This is close to his death. And this is to indicate to us as Muslims, number one, obviously at the time they did not know that the Prophet's death was imminent. But then in hindsight, when they look back on this, they realized that the Prophet ﷺ was in fact doing this to tell the Muslims that after my death, look to these 10 individuals. This is why these 10 individuals are very important figures in Islam. This is why it is imperative for us to at least know some of the aspects of their life, inshallah ta'ala. Obviously not one khutbah can cover the entire life of one individual. But inshallah ta'ala today we will mention some aspects of this one individual's life, and this is directly taken from the hadith that is found in Sahih Bukhari. Authentic hadith in which it is narrated that the Sahabi who we are going to talk about, and mainly the whole khutbah is just about this one hadith. His name is Abdurrahman ibn Auf radiyallahu anhu. Abdurrahman ibn Auf radiyallahu anhu, one of the early converts to Islam. In fact, we know that he accepted Islam within the first week of the Prophet ﷺ preaching his message. His name before Islam was not Abdul Rahman. Some say it was Abdul Kaaba, or it was something else, Abdul Shams, etc. Names are given, and that when he accepted Islam, because of the incorrectness of his name, the Prophet ﷺ told him, yes, you need to change your name, because your name means something that is shirk, something that is polytheism. We cannot have this as a name. This is why if a person has a name that its meaning is incorrect, it's recommended for that person to change their name. However, if a person has a completely fine name, there is no obligation from an Islamic point of view for that person to change their name. And unfortunately, a lot of times when we get a new person who accepts Islam, many people out of their excitedness, and because they want to encourage this person now that he's Muslim, they also encourage the person to change their name, when in fact, they don't have to. From a purely fiqh point of view, there is no need for the person to change their name unless the meaning of their name is incorrect. This is why the Prophet did it on both the men and the women's side. There was a woman who came and her name was Barra, which means that she is righteous. And the Prophet said, no, you need to change this. Samuha Zainab. Change her name to Zainab. Why did they change her name? Because if a person claims in his name that I am righteous, this will affect his attitude later on in life. Your name does in fact have a profound effect on the way people view you, and the way that you view the world, and the way that you view yourself. This is proven through many studies that have actually talked about this idea. This is why the Prophet ﷺ, obviously our religion discourages us from ever making a claim of righteousness. We can never say, yes, I am a good Muslim. You can never make this claim, because you do not know whether the salah that you're doing is accepted by Allah. You do not know whether the charity that you're doing is accepted by Allah, whether the Ramadan that you did was accepted by Allah. And we've mentioned this before, a lot of people at the end of Ramadan, let's say for example, they worshipped, they fasted, they gave in charity, they prayed Taraweeh, they did all of these amazing things, and then at the end of the month, everybody's congratulating one another, mashallah, you finished Ramadan, we have a Ramadan in the bank, it's good, we're done, and they're happy and they go on their life as if, khalas, it's in the bank. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted it. Do we really know if Allah truly did accept it? We do not. And to pretend otherwise is foolishness. This is why in reality, nobody has a golden ticket to Jannah. Even these people that we are talking about. These Sahaba, and I want you to imagine this. The Prophet ﷺ tells them, and one of them is Abdurrahman ibn Auf, who we're speaking about today. You are in Jannah. If one of us were given this, that you are in Jannah, you got a golden ticket, what would we do for the rest of our lives? We'd probably sit down and relax and like, hey man, why are you upset? Why are you, stressing yourself? Why are you waking up so early for Fajr? Why are you going to these salahs in the masjid? Why are you going out of your way to give charity? Why are you exerting yourself and fasting outside of Ramadan? You don't need to do that. You're in Jannah, man. You got a ticket. Why are you stressing? Whereas the reality, these companions Through Allah's wisdom, of course, meaning these people were chosen not randomly, because of who they are, their actions and their mentality. It actually caused them to work harder. They said, now, even though I have a guarantee, this doesn't mean it's going to be easy. This doesn't mean that it's for free. There's a guarantee, yes, but I still have to work hard. I'm going to be the best Muslim that I can. This is why 1400 years later, we still remember their names. We still talk about their lives, because of the way that they embodied the way that a Muslim should actually live. In this hadith of Sahih al-Bukhari, Abdurrahman ibn Auf radiallahu anhu migrated from Mecca to Medina. And as was customary, whenever the Muslims would migrate from Mecca to Medina, the Prophet ﷺ كان يؤاخي بين المهاجرين والأنصار. The Prophet ﷺ used to pair up, almost like a buddy system, between the Muhajirin, the people who emigrated, and the people who were the Ansar, the people of Medina, the people who helped. That's why the word Ansar actually means helpers. These people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who called them the Ansar. Why? Because they went above and beyond what we would normally expect for people when they're welcoming in visitors and they're welcoming new people into their town. And they did full-heartedly. This Ansari, his name is Sa'd ibn Rabi' radiallahu anhu. Sa'd ibn Rabi'. And the Prophet ﷺ tells him, you're going to be a brother with Abdurrahman ibn Auf. Abdurrahman ibn Auf was a fairly well-off Meccan. He lived in Mecca. He was a merchant. He used to buy and sell, as was customary in Meccan society, because they had no industry. Their only industry that was there was that you were a merchant. You would buy and sell. Abdurrahman ibn Auf, when he immigrated, he left behind multiple houses, property, all of his furniture, in fact all of his clothes. He migrated, not a penny on him, no money whatsoever. He left everything behind, and in fact he did in order for people to leave him alone when he actually migrated, so that people won't chase him. He said, I'm leaving everything. This is a huge test, my brothers and sisters. A lot of times we don't fully appreciate what they had to do in order for us to be sitting here as Muslims today, leaving behind everything that they had. And they answered and they migrated. So when he arrives in Medina, he has nothing to his name, absolutely nothing. He goes from being a wealthy individual, now he's dirt poor. But the Ansar stepped up and they said, no, we're going to help these people. Sa'd ibn Rabi', he says, the Prophet ﷺ said that I have to share all of my belongings with you. So he enters him into his house, and this is a very famous story. A lot of people remember this part. He tells Abdurrahman, here's half of my wealth. Here's my half, here's your half. Here's the house, here's your half of the house, here's my half, and here are my two wives. Pick one of them, I will divorce her, and after her waiting period is over, you can have her as well. He's literally splitting everything in half. This is how much he took it literally, that the Prophet ﷺ said, share whatever you have with your Muslim brother. He took it to the extreme. He said, I'm going to share everything in half. Abdurrahman ibn he tells the man, Barakallahu laka fi ahlika wa malika wa baytik. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in your family, in your wives, in your house, and in your wealth. I don't want any of these things. Keep all of that. As a loan, and then show me where the marketplace is. I'll take care of myself. What? I can't do this? They had a back and forth in some of the narrations. Abdurrahman says, look, just help me a little bit, show me where the marketplace is, show me around, and I'll take it from here. And he did. Radiallahu anhu wa ardah. He did for this individual, that he gets the reward, and inshallah ta'ala he does, because he truly intended on helping him as much as possible. Abdurrahman ibn Auf goes to the marketplace. Within the same day, he's able to double the money that he got from the Ansari. He doubled his money. He started out with 10 dirhams. He now has 20. So at night, he gave back the 10 to him. And he's like, here's your 10 back. That's it, I'm done. The next day he goes, he doubles his money. The next day he goes, he doubles his money again. And he keeps on going. Within a few months, he actually does very good in the marketplace. He's able to find out who needs what's going on. He goes back and forth. He exerts his business acumen, and he's able to make some money. The Prophet ﷺ, now in the hadith, it says that he saw Abdurrahman wa alayhi sufra, and he had some yellowness on him, on his hands and so forth. This was a sign, by the way, that he recently got married, because it was a decorative thing that they would actually put henna and whatnot. And the Prophet ﷺ says, what is this from, Abdul Rahman? And Abdul Rahman says, Ya Rasulullah, I got married from one of the Ansari women. Quickly, within a few months of him moving to Medina, he got married, which obviously shows us the encouragement of Islam to get married, and that a person honestly should do it as soon as possible. Then Abdul Rahman, immediately he got remarried to Medina. So then the Prophet ﷺ says, okay, did you give her a sadaq? Did you give her a wedding gift? He says, yes, I gave her an amount of weight in gold. He gave her some gold. Perfect. Then the Prophet ﷺ asked him, did you hold a walima? A walima, of course, is the meal that's done customary when a person announces his marriage. And Abdul Rahman said, no. And the Prophet ﷺ tells him, أَوْلِمْ وَلَوْ بِشَاءٍ. He says you should do a walima even if it's just one sheep that you slaughter, one lamb. You should do a walima and invite people. Obviously this walima is encouraged for people who can afford it. And Abdul Rahman at this point in time, he can afford it. So Abdul Rahman went and he invited people and he slaughtered and he invited everybody. This is where we get the sunnah of the walima, because the Prophet ﷺ encouraged Abdul Rahman to do it. Abdul Rahman, however, this is the hadith that's in Sahih al-Bukhari. It talks about how the help of the Ansar was so instrumental to the early success of the Muslims. But it also talks about that independent spirit that many people like Abdul Rahman had. Abdul Rahman eventually became so wealthy that he says about himself that if Allah provided for me so much, that if I lifted a rock, I would have found gold underneath. This is how successful I was. He said every single I did, Allah blessed it and then even gave me more. This is why in some of the narrations, and as a disclosure, there are some weaknesses. Test. Some people were tested in poverty, some people were tested in wealth. Abdul Rahman gave up all of his wealth for the sake of the religion. All of his wealth. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after this scholars how truly wealthy this individual was when he passed away. He passed away during the time of Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu anhu. Uthman himself was very wealthy. Uthman was the Khalifa. By the way, Abdul Rahman was one of the 6 that were chosen by Umar to potentially be the Khalifa after his death. We know that Umar died abruptly. He was stabbed in the Salah and he passed away a few hours after this. And on his deathbed he designated 6 was the first person to withdraw, and he said, I am going to withdraw. However, if you guys don't mind, I will oversee the process of choosing the one. And they said yes. And so Abdul Rahman was actually instrumental, and they appointed him, and at the end of the day it was his choice. Abdul Rahman, for the next 3 days after the death of Umar, he went door to door in Medina asking people about what they thought of Uthman and Ali, because those were the last 2 that remained. And by the way, they remained not because they were power hungry, but because they both had a sense that eventually they would be a Khalifa. Because the Prophet told Uthman on multiple occasions, Ya Uthman, perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you a shirt. And later on in his life he understood that that shirt was the Khilafah. And he told similar instructions to Ali ibn Abi Talib as well. So they both knew that they would eventually be the Khalifa, they just didn't know in what order. And they remained. And Abdul Rahman for 3 days and their nights, he went door to door in Medina asking men, women, children what they thought about the both. And when he saw that a vast majority of people liked Uthman ibn Affan, he eventually went and he said, Uthman inshallah ta'ala is going to be the Khalifa. By the way, when he asked Ali, who do you think should be the Khalifa? He said, I think it should be Uthman. And when he asked Uthman, who do you think should be the Khalifa? He said, Ali. Radiyallahu anhum wa ardahum. Abdul Rahman passed away a few years after this. He wrote in his will, because he had so much wealth, to non-inheritors, meaning 2/3 has to go to your inheritors, but 1/3 you can delegate to give other people. And so in his will, he delegated 1/3 of his wealth to be distributed to the entire population of Medina. And they said that upon his death, man, woman, child in Medina got over 500 dirhams upon his death. And that's only from 1/3 of his wealth, meaning 2/3 stayed within his family and his inheritors that he could not touch by the commandment of the Prophet ﷺ. Imagine how much money he had. Times 500 dirhams. How many dirhams is that? That's in the... Yet that wealth never disturbed who he was as a Muslim. It never corrupted him. It never made him hungry for more wealth. In fact, they said that Abdul Rahman, he gave them Hajj every single year so that the mothers of the believers could go and make Hajj every single year. He paid for so many poor people, and a lot of this was actually kept in secret, and the people only knew after his death. Radiyallahu anhu. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf is one of those few people that used his wealth to purchase his way into Jannah. And he knew that this was a test, and that I can do it, and I can spend for the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without any holding back. Because he says, every time I would give, Allah would replace it immediately. And a lot of times we hold back from giving because we doubt whether Allah can truly replace that believer. The person who's not experimenting with Allah or trying it out, saying, you know what, the Shaykh keeps on saying, you know, maybe it'll be replaced, so I'll give and I'll see if it'll be replaced. No, you have to give with certainty that it will be replaced, and inshallah ta'ala it will be replaced. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf is a good example for us. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, radiallahu anhu, in one instance, he began to cry upon seeing a meal. And this hadith is also narrated in Sahih. A lavish meal. Meats, you know, fruits, vegetables, etc. All these things are given to him. And he starts to weep. And they said, why are you weeping, Abdul Rahman? He says, I'm remembering how we were when we were in the early Medina times. Imagine, he started his whole wealth by borrowing 10 dirhams. And then upon his death, he distributed 500 dirhams to every inhabitant of Medina. But he says, I remember that we were so poor during the battle of Uhud. He says, my brother, Mus'ab bin Umayr, and Hamza, the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, were better than me. He's saying this, even though he's one of the 10, but he's saying that Mus'ab is better than me, Hamza is better than me, and we could not afford even a piece of cloth to cover them up when we wanted to bury them properly. And it says, Mus'ab bin Umayr, when we covered his head, his feet would be exposed. And when we covered his feet, his head would be exposed. And eventually the Prophet said, no, cover his head and cover his feet with some leaves. That's how poor we were. And now Allah has given us all of this. And he says, I hope, this was his prayer, I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not hurried our reward for us in the dunya and kept nothing for us in the hereafter. What does he hope again? He says, I hope that Allah has not hurried our reward for us in the dunya, meaning He's giving us all of these things in the dunya, but then we will have no share in the hereafter. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us in this way and guide us and forgive us our shortcomings and our sins. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf radiyallahu anhu shows us the importance of brotherhood, taking care of others, selflessness, investing for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, helping the ummah in tremendous ways. All of these are important for us. For us, of course, as well as individuals, one of our duties is like what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالَّذِينَ جَاءُوا مِن بَعْدِهِمْ, and the ones who came after them, meaning after the Muhajirin and the Ansar. The two verses right before this, Allah says about the Muhajirin, and then the next verse talks about the Ansar, and then this third verse, He says, وَالَّذِينَ جَاءُوا مِن بَعْدِهِمْ, and the ones who come after them, and they say what? يَقُولُونَ رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لَنَا وَلِإِخْوَانِنَا الَّذِينَ سَبَقُونَا بِالْإِيمَانِ. Oh Allah, forgive us and forgive our brothers that came before us in Iman. They're making dua for themselves and for the people that came before them, like these companions. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with them all. رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لَنَا وَلِإِخْوَانِنَا الَّذِينَ سَبَقُونَا بِالْإِيمَانِ. And then he says, وَلَا تَجْعَلْ فِي قُلُوبِنَا غِلًّا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. And do not put any animosity or hatred in our hearts towards any of the believers. رَبَّنَا إِنَّكَ رَوْفٌ رَحِيمٌ. Oh Allah, you are Ra'uf, you are kind, and you are merciful. Abdurrahman ibn Auf, there's much to say. We will end inshallah ta'ala with one instance from his life. Later on in his life, after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he approaches Bilal al-Habashi, radiallahu anhu, Bilal ibn Rabah, the mu'adhin of the Prophet, we all know him. And he approaches Bilal and he says, "Oh Bilal, I think we should become related to one another. أريد مصاهرتك." He says, what do you propose? He says, "My sister is available, would you be interested in marrying her?" Now we need to pause here. Bilal radiallahu anhu is a freed slave, and he was black. Abdurrahman Islam, it is Abdurrahman who is interested in becoming related to Bilal, not the other way around. Usually we would think that, oh, this person is marrying down because he's going out of his way as an Arab and a person from Quraysh, and he's marrying this African man. Where instead it was the opposite. Abdurrahman was the one who wanted to get close to Bilal because he knows who Bilal is, and he wants the best husband available for his sister. Not even for his daughter, but for his sister. His sister at the time was single, and he wanted to help her get married. And by the way, this is a recommendation for everybody who has women in their family. A lot of times we wait for people to come to propose to them. Whereas if you look at the Sahaba, many of them would go and find the good man. Abdurrahman ibn Auf knows who Bilal is. He goes to Bilal and he says, "What do you think of my sister?" What's amazing is that Bilal says, "Let me think about it, let me pray istikhara." He doesn't say yes immediately, even though he knows who Abdurrahman ibn Auf is. He knows the status of his family. He knows how wealthy they are. The wealth by itself would have enticed many people, because Bilal at the time was busy. But he didn't immediately jump on it. He says, "I have to pray istikhara, I have to ask." And he goes and he asks and he prays istikhara, and then he says, "Okay, I'll accept." And of course the marriage takes place. Bilal is the brother-in-law of Abdurrahman ibn Auf because of he taking the initiative and knowing that this person is actually a good person. And that this is how marriages should be done, that we look at the character of the individual, not of his lineage, not of his skin color or anything like this. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us and guide us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for our shortcomings and our sins. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants us and our forefathers Jannah, inshallah ta'ala, and that He removes any animosity in our hearts towards those who believe, inshallah ta'ala. Ibadallah, inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala al-nabi. يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت وسلمت وباركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين أعداءك أعداء الدين ربنا اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على قوم الكافرين اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة إلا قضيتها ويسرتها برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات المؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات يا قاضي الحاجات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم وذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون أقم الصلاة
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إله إلا
استوت الرسل. الله الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم وهذا البلد الأمين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين سمع الله لمن حمده الله 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 الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر الله سمع الله لمن حمده الله 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 السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم